Alright, greetings everybody, and welcome to a video that I am recording live, so it could be that chat will help me with stuff that I get wrong. Today we're going to be taking a look at Fire Veritas. Now, Fire Veritas is the fourth Veritas to be entered into the game, and much in similar fashion to the last couple of Veritases, it's probably going to take some good amount of time to earn as well as improve. And I think that this one is going to be a little bit more difficult for some people because I feel like PvP is ignored sometimes. And I don't mean arena and I don't mean guild battle. I actually do mean like PvP, like class match sort of thing. And given that JP's next class match has actually been canceled already or moved back, I mean, essentially what we're getting this week was removed kind of thing. Guess what? It's might be about as difficult as Earth Veritas, which, just funny little side note, Guild Battle was also canceled tonight for JP. It's been extended in a day, but this seems to be a regular thing now with this game. Anyway, so today we're going to be doing a test of Earth Veritas, and it's, this is one of those half-ass tests because we don't get the full ass. You look at Fire Veritas, and it's very neat that he's in the game. He doesn't have his 140, he doesn't have his limit burst, and now we do know that these guys are getting their weapons, starting with some of the older ones. He doesn't have his weapons, so that's a little bit more of a difficult sell, right? Because essentially at this, we're getting a very early preview, but we'll do our best. So Sephiroth, Soul, and Fire Veritas are here today, going up against just three very regular characters that I feel show up a lot on JP. Summer Glassy is just a really, really good tank still, even with some of the newer tanks being. So she's run, and water is still quite strong. Speaking of water, June. And you may say, is it fair to put fire characters up against water? With Sephiroth in the mix? Yeah. It's actually a lot more fair than you think it would. And next up, Ashen Mont, because again, it's a day that ends in Y. We do have to test him against some of the most powerful characters out there. So, c'est la vie. Looking up next, I want to show off Sephiroth's stats because this is a fully reincarnated Sephiroth. You can take a look here, 51 accuracy, about 1400 HP, 1700 attack, and 110 speed with, good resistances and everything. Just want to make this point before we show off the next thing, which is Fire Veritas' stats. Now, he doesn't have any reincarnations, of course, and he doesn't have Trust Mastery runes, but you can see that he's actually not terrible in comparison to some of the best characters, given that this is a character you can essentially earn for free in the game. Almost 10k HP with HP at attack at 1787, 14 defense, 2 spirit, 36 single target, no much of any AoE resistance to speak of, but 110 speed. That is with the Hermes sandal though. So what this essentially we are looking at here is, I think it's generally pretty good to say that pre his Dream Enhancement, pre reincarnations and everything, he seems like a decent character for the current power level that we've seen. But that's also taking into account that Wind Veritas actually lasted pretty well on JP, even with the power bump. He does have the Reliquary Axe attached to him, which is something that maybe not a lot of you have thought about, but he does have this equipped, and it will get improved. Nice to finally see a good character that can use this axe. Continuing on is EMR, as you can see, is pretty statty. HP, AP, defense, accuracy, as well as critical evasion is pretty good. When we look here at the ability, we're getting HP regeneration per turn, which is cool. It is 4 turns, and then we're getting a bunch of other stuff. we're getting essentially critical evasion as well as strike resistance, which is kind of neat. It is a lot of stuff on a trust mastery and probably good enough to be gotten and improved. Will it be a top trust mastery? Probably not, but it's something that gives HP regen, which is kind of unique. I like unique from time to time. Cool. Counter ability is quite simple. It's just it has a chance to reduce the incoming damage. Not a bad thing. Not an amazing thing. Because we don't know the percentage on it yet, but almost certainly it's going to be relatively minor, given what other abilities like this are. But it could keep him alive. One of his that you can see here is from his sub-jobs. I think it's Martial Artist. And we can see attack and defense penetration. Not as bare bones and basic as you can get. His other one is more unique, and this is where we are going to get into the thing that makes Fire Veritas special, and maybe a wee bit cursed. So let me just translate this and make sure I get everything. Increase attack and slash attack resistance penetration rate, as well as slash attack resistance. Increase physical damage. Ready for this? Increase physical damage if the number of actions is a multiple of 3, 1 or more. So yeah, this is quite interesting because we haven't seen this on another unit before, but I have a feeling it will show up on some other unit. It's very, very similar to arithmeticians, or, you know, mathematic calculators. That's the other term I was thinking of. Where their abilities get stronger if a character's level is a certain thing. But that's so passé now. So essentially, if on the third turn, he uses a damage ability, which is decent enough chance, by about turn 3, that's usually when in PvP you would start to hit your opponent, it actually gets a damage boost. And this is by far one of the most unique things about Fire Veritas, and I'm quite happy to see this. I think it's pretty neat little idea. It depends, makes you think a little bit more about sequencing, and I kind of want to see more characters with it, just in general, sort of. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at his sub-jobs, because his other 2 jobs are what? Dragoon and Martial Artist, which, okay, but we're interested in Flash Attack here. This attack, medium damage, but does an HP restore on this character if, you know, the attack hits. Fine. Here, another one, we're looking at AP regen. It's only small, but, you know, small is better than nothing. And we're also looking at 4 turns to nullify paralysis, darkness, petrification, and gradual petrification. Which, gradual petrify, not something most people think about. Everybody out there is going to be shouting, curse, curse, curse. But guess what? This guy is going to be paired with Sephiroth, so I don't think it's really all that important whether or not he has curse nullification. As into his main job, there's a bunch of stuff here that is interesting. So we'll just go through them one by one. First, increases own defense penetration rate and range attack resistance for 4 turns. AoE resistance for 4 turns. Increases damage from slashing and hitting types. Chance of non-attribute slashing attack absorbing part of the damage dealt. Adds a reaction that performs it for 4 range at a height difference of 1. So interesting. Secondary follow-up attack. Over here, this one's pretty simple. Essentially what you're getting is small damage and 3-turn fire resistance damage, which is great considering that the one place I kind of want to put this guy with other fire characters. Sephiroth's pretty good and Soul's pretty good, and they'd be pretty happy for this kind of thing. Next up, this is the ability that we already saw in the preview, but just in case, I'll remind people how it is. Give Human Killer to yourself and an ally for 4 turns. Increase resistance to slashing attacks. Allows you to survive once, even receiving fatal damage. as well as for gives an effect that increases physical damage for 4 turns. Additional effect, if that survive fatal damage is in effect, wider the attack, the more damage received is reduced. So not bad. Lots of stuff all in one ability. This, however, is one of my personal favorites. And just so I don't miss anything, let me just pitch this to you. Do you hate physical damage reduction barriers? Barriers that say, hey, you don't get to do the thing that you want to do. Fire Veritas is here for you. After destroying the barrier that reduces physical damage, damage the targets within the area medium. Come on, there's got to be more, right? There is. And create a barrier that reduces physical damage on yourself for 2 attacks. That's pretty cool. So this one, I just love this. I love the theme of siphoning, or, it's not even necessarily a siphon because it is a barrier destroyer, but it actually is a barrier creator at the same time. It is not reliant on you destroying a barrier to get a barrier, meaning that this character can use this 3 times, getting 3 barriers that reduce physical damage, 2 times a piece. That's pretty good and a lot of survivability off of one ability that you can multicast. Range isn't super high on it, but I'm not sure I would ever want it. Alright, next up we have this one, which is AoE damage, diamond AoE pattern. Damage enemies within range, slashing attack resistance decrease, I think, for 3 turns, as well as reaction rate, blocking rate, has a low chance of causing paralysis. This is one of the abilities that we also were previewed. I'm a little disappointed that the paralysis chance doesn't have a better one, because this character not running high faith means that it's almost certainly not going to happen. But we'll test it and see how good it is. And our last ability is a single target ability. It is a large damage ability, and the effect is damage to target after increasing defense penetration. Power increases if the number of actions is a multiple of 3. So not only does he have this just baked into him because of his support skill, he also has a secondary ability if you can get him to level 120, that he can cast this ability on the same time as it's his 3rd action and deal a lot more damage. That's really unique. I'm glad that they gave Fire Veritas something that feels entirely different from other characters, and even a few new things that feel pretty fresh and a little bit, unique. So, alright, we've gone through his kit. Course, Wotv calc. Still not updated. That's fine. Don't crash on us, game. Alright, so we have all our characters together. There's a bunch of stuff in the background. We don't care. Let's just try and get some things going here. Get these characters upgraded and all that good stuff. Fire characters with fire characters, please. Oh yeah, he hovers. I forget that. They all float down here. Sorry, that was just something that came out of nowhere. We'll get all of these things set up, barriers and everything. And then we'll just test out initial turn 1 damage. And again, we are putting up essentially a water tank to really put it through the metal of how much it is. So let's take a look. I kind of love his little running animation. All right, let's go over here. So we're just going to test out some initial DPS against here. And hey, that's actually pretty good for an initial swing without any buffs or anything like that. We're doing okay damage, given the characters also that we're up against. We even tried just against Sephiroth and Soul. actually not bad. This, again, is not his super power turn. So let's check out his AoE. Come on, Fire Veritas, work with me. And am I just being really stupid here? It won't cast? Is this a bug? Yeah, I can select targets of almost any other character, but I can't actually. That's fascinating. Has to be enemies? Is this just a slight against content creators who want to test out characters? So just a reminder, this is the barrier destroyer. As you can see, it's getting rid of Soul's barrier, and it will generate a barrier of HP. Unfortunately, I guess this large AoE attack just not quite working there, but we can see this. So this is one of his most, this is his reach on his third action. So since it's his first action, we're not getting anything quite yet, but let's go over here. We are going to go up here. We're going to use these 2 turns. Get ready, as you do. And we have a couple of different supports that we can use. That one, we can use that one. We're not super interested in this one. The AP restore is small, so it's not going to be worthy. So let's cast this. And you know what? Sephiroth is going to be his buddy. Let's give him some human killer, shall we? So both characters get some human killer as well as some other stuff. Looks pretty good. Continue to cast some skills, make us a little more defensive. We want to get ready for that massive turn that we know is coming up for Fire Veritas. Already turn 2 for Fire Veritas. Quite quick on his feet. Pretty good. We'll also cast this ability. Now, between this and the other one, we are getting everything that we want, essentially. So now we're ready for that big turn 3. Now, Sephiroth, also, character who has caused a bit of a stir. I myself have recorded a brand new video about whether this character is a one-trick pony or not. But getting extra human killer off of Sephiroth's attacks from Fire Veritas, as you can see, not a bad way at all to power up your attacks and see a better result. So just aim a few. Yeah, see, this one works. I'm not sure why the other one doesn't work. Must be something that I'm not noticing in the description. Anyway, Sephiroth dealing pretty good damage, but let's head back over here for a second and let's turn the tide against Fire Veritas, who is actually pretty darn damage resistant. As you can see here, taking about roughly the same as some of our higher tier characters in opposing elements. Also has a distinct chance for that counter to go off at 67%, which is fairly high. Try a few other attacks. So yeah, hard not to say really quickly that it's actually looking pretty good for him being fairly damage resistant. At least against Sephiroth. So let's check against Ashen Mont. Even here, I would have to say that it is pretty good against him. He actually has a decent amount because of all of his skills. Like, he can take pretty good chunk of damage. Neat. Alright. Pass there. We'll get June over here to try her limit burst. And here you're seeing a little bit more damage. Kind of more of what we'd expect. June capable. But again, not overly impressive. Still just pretty good for what we have equipped. Alright, gotta pass a few more turns. Make sure we have all of that set up. And let's see what we can do with Fire Veritas. Alright, so here is the one thing that you want to look for if you're ever using Fire Veritas and you're a little bit confused on whether or not, or which abilities get this 3-turn power up, you can see this little green icon here over the skill, which basically means that it is turn 3, and this skill will get a power up from it. Now, of course, because of his support skill as well, support skill is automatically powering up every other ability that he has that's offensive, be it his limit burst, his regular strike, or any of the skills that we have right here. So for instance, now, as you can see, he's gotten a pretty big power boost overall from this that he is now striking against that. He's also getting rid of that barrier and casting his own barrier. As you can see, it works on all the barriers that we have right here. So pretty nice damage, around 6k for a character that has not been reincarnated at all. And not only has he not been reincarnated, but still is missing a bunch of stats that he will get from his just incarnations. Cool. All right. So let's check out the big one. As you can see here, is going to be absorbed by that HP barrier. And a little bit surprising that this one is one that goes so far to not looking as impressive as I thought it would. Double check. Yeah, click the right one. Can we use this one yet? Nope, this skill apparently is still not available. Fire reduction, which might be a different ability that you might want to run. So possibly just because of the resistances and whatnot, but quite interesting. So let's fire off an attack here and see the result. He did get slept. Got some counters going off there. And now, let's also just test it. So just a single strike. Interesting. So yeah, I have to say, Veritas is looking pretty good in some of his skills. Some of them seem to be lagging a little bit, but of course, we have ability upgrades still to come. We have support skill probably that's going to get upgraded, although it could be his counter. Either way, an overall impressive kit for a character that is essentially free, but you will have to grind out PvP to get there. So anyway, this has been a at least preemptive look at Veritas. Hopefully it motivates some people to get into PvP and playing a bit more, but it's pretty cool to see this character. Oh, we also got HP regen going, which is... told you it was in his kit. Now you just count turns until we get over there, if he even gets over there. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye.